Last chapter, we introduced the idea of contribution margin, and we defined contribution margin as sales minus variable costs. And we said that the contribution margin is the amount that was available to cover fixed costs and then ultimately to cover profits. So in this video, we're going to use this idea of contribution margin to determine the break-even point for a business. And this is something that's really important, especially if you're thinking about starting a business, and if everyone wants to know how would you start how would you break even, in your business. And by break even, I mean earning zero profit. So you don't have to lose any money, you don't have to make any money, just break even. So in this video we are going to look at how we can determine that. So let's say we want to start a small business, and which only operates on the weekends, and our idea is that we have a friend that has a really who's a really good photographer and takes these great pictures, and we want to take his pictures and resell them at our festivals. So we're going to travel around to different festivals and resell our friend's photography. And we talked to a friend, and he says that he would sell us the prints for a cost of $30 a print. So that would be our variable cost. In this business is going to be which in this business is going to be $30 a picture. And we believe that this is really great, since we think that they'll be in high demand. They'll be in high demand in the market. So we think that we're going to be able to sell them for the cost plus 50%, uh, which will kind of like increase the total price by 50%. So we plan to sell the things ourselves, price for $45 per print, and that was just cost plus 50%. We just marked it up 50% of cost. Now, on a per unit basis, that will give us contribution margin of $15 a print. Just remember, our contribution margin is just sales minus variable costs, and in this case, the price is $45 a unit. The variable cost is $30 a unit, and so our contribution margin is going to be $15 per print. So every time that we sell a print, we will make $15 that can be used to cover our fixed costs, and ultimately, this will lead to if this will lead to any profits, we will come to know about this later on. But to start this business, we're definitely going to incur some fixed costs as well. And our fixed costs are going to include things like the traveling price of going to the art festival, which might be in different cities. We might have to buy a plane ticket, right? And also, it's also going to include the hotel price where we'll be staying, and it might include the price of the food that we'll be eating, and it will also include the fee that we'll pay to get the booth to sell the art. And so we have all these fixed costs, and let's say our fixed cost total is 3,000. So we now have $3,000, and it's a fixed cost. So we need to decide now whether or not we want to do this. If you want to do this, if you want to actually buy our friend's art and resell it in the art festival, and if it's really a good idea. So the first thing that we want to do is determine what our break-even point is, and to determine the break-even points is really simple math. We know that each unit we make $15, and that can be used to cover the fixed cost, and we know that once all of the fixed cost is paid for, we've broken even. uh, we would have no profit, we would have no loss, we would have just broken even. So our break even point is going to be really simple. It's going to be our fixed cost divided by our contribution margin per unit. That will be CM per unit. So in this case, our fixed cost is 3,000 and our contribution per unit is 15. So we need to sell 200 units to break even. If we sell 200 units, we will pay for all the expenses related to going to the art festival. And in this case, the break-even point is expressed in units, but you can also express it in dollars. And to do that, we just take the 200 units, and they each have a sales price of 45. So 200 times 45, and we have to have 9,000 in sales dollars. So we have to sell 200 units or $9,000 in sales to break even. To prove that, we can also look at the contribution margin income statement. And we know we have our sales revenue, and let's just say that we sold 200 units. Um, and this is what it takes to break even. So it takes it takes us 200 units times $45 a unit basically. So our sales revenues are 9,000, and then our variable cost it's $30 a unit, and we sell 200 units. So our VC, which is the variable cost, is 6,000, and that gives me a contribution margin of 3,000. And we set our fixed cost in this example, which is 3,000, and we set our and after that we can see clearly the break even that we have, which is zero net income. When we sell 200 units, that's our break even point, and you can figure that out by just dividing the contribution margin per unit into your total fixed cost, and you'll always get your break even. All right, but breaking even is probably not enough to entice you to take on this business venture and go to the art festival, because if you're not going to make any more money, then why go at all? It would be a waste of time. So a lot of times we want to assess how many units we need to sell in order to attain a certain level of profit. And so let's say that breaking even is not good enough for us, and we don't really want to take on this the venture. We don't want to take on this venture and go to the art festival unless we earn a $1,500 profit. And if we can do that, we're going to take on this business venture. Now, to figure out how many units we need to earn $1,500, we just use a very simple formula. As we did the break even, just as we did the break even point, except now we've got to use our contribution margin per unit, not only to cover fixed costs, but also to cover this $1,500 profit. So it's just going to be our fixed cost plus the profit we want to earn divided by the contribution margin per unit. Contribution margin per unit, which in this case we said was $15. So our fixed cost is still 3,000. We want to earn a $1,500 profit, and we know our contribution margin per unit is still $15. So we divide the whole figure over here by 15, and if you work out the math, you get 300 units. So in order to earn $1,500, we need to sell 300 prints at this art festival. And if we want to know that, in terms of how much sales revenue we need, we just take the 300 units times the sales price of $45 a unit. And you get 13,500. So we need to sell 300 units, have 13,500 in sales in order to earn $1,500. Alright, so now we know how to determine how much we need to sell to break even, or how much we need to sell to earn a specific profit, in this case, which would be $1,500 of profit. We can also now start asking ourselves some questions about whether this is realistic. I mean, is it really realistic that we can sell 300 units? Is it realistic that we can actually charge $45 a unit? And if we can, then this works out to be great. But if we can't, we may have to change our cost structure, and we may have to switch between fixed and variable costs. We may even have to change our price, or maybe there may be some other changes to do. So lots of different adjustments can be made by us, but the first thing is to just figuring out how many units you need to sell in order to earn the profit that you desire. And then you can ask yourself, okay, is 300 units actually possible at the art festival? Is $45 a print a reasonable price for these 300 units? And from there you can make the adjustments. And we're going to look at how you make those adjustments in the next session.